Hey Reddit.
Redditors who massively fricked up at work. What happened?
We have less than 1,000 subscribers. Get us to 1,000 for more daily content.
I dropped a screw inside the engine.
It's great how in France, croissants are used as payment.
Thanks for making sure it got fixed. No really, we rely on people to own up to their mistakes and fix them. Thank you.
Controls engineer made a copy-paste error while programming and a 2 was a 3. So one machine tagged at 3 was waiting for conditions of 2. So naturally the lift moved when it thought it should and crashed into another machine. Course I'm having to stand there figuring out the issue while maintenance is up there replacing busted parts. But because I've made 1,000 changes it didn't click fast enough and well. It happened again.
Program doing exactly what you told it to do. The bane of all software engineers.
Worst I've done was crash an entire chemical plant by completely fucking a download and faulting the controller. Lots of screaming and much tension. But the product was still in spec. The oh shiz. My software isn't responding. Did I just break something or is this poorly optimized? Proprietary bullshit software just having a seizure? Question sucks. Every time.
Working the stock room at Mal Ward. Grabbed a Pepsi pallet with the forklift and didn't realize it was a short pallet. The forks came out the other side and through to the pallet of glass Coke bottles it was up against. When I lifted the Pepsi, the Coke came up with it and dumped the entire unwrapped pallet of glass bottles, spilling all that sticky soda on the floor. That mess was hell to clean up. However, the vendor had to eat the cost because that store's posted policy is that they cannot leave unwrapped pallets unless it is being worked.
Oh frick. That reminds me of what happened in my workplace a few years back. My coworker was trying to take down a pallet but he had the forklift too close to the racking. He accidentally pushed the support beam above the pallet he was going for so far up that the pins busted and both pallets' 2L Coke bottles on that top rack tipped. Luckily, nobody got hurt. The pallets were wrapped, and neither one fell completely. But they were hanging so far over the edge that most of the contents ending up falling anyway. That entire end of the warehouse was flooded with Coca-Cola. There were so many bottles on the floor that we couldn't drive equipment through and we were wading through the sea of Coke, squeegeeing it out the loading dock door. 4 months later, we could still feel the stickiness.
Looking for the used to work for Coke, but forgot to rewrap a pallet and some Mal Ward forklift driver spilled them all over the floor.
During the first week of my first job in animation after I graduated, I had to move a bunch of scene files from one server to another. The files were heavy, so I was told to just cut and paste them to make it faster. I accidentally put them in a wrong area and without thinking just deleted them. Went back to move the files again, they weren't there. I had forgotten I hadn't copied them. I lost 5 minutes of full animation. My longtime friend who recommended me for the job got in shiz because his backups didn't catch the files, and my direct supervisor worked for 21 days straight to help redo all the animation. The studio and everyone involved were way nicer to me about it than I expected. I kept my job and I brought in donuts for the whole crew for a week after. But it was an awful start.
There wasn't a backup? I don't think the entire blame can fall on you if someone told you to cut-paste important files that didn't have a backup.
I once was the only videographer shooting a once-a-year event for my school with a DSLR. Towards the end of the night when the SD card was getting full, I went to check just how full and accidentally formatted it. Real stupid move. That gave me so much anxiety and I felt like such a dipshit. I can only imagine what being in your situation must have felt like. Glad it worked out well for you. It worked out fine for me too. Filmmaking in general is really easy to frick up. I find people are fortunately generally forgiving to the new guy.
Accidentally left out the move next method on a loop that sent out an email broadcast. Which meant it mailbombed the first recipient in the loop until we realized what was happening and killed the process. The CEO's email was the first email address in the loop. He was an arsehole anyway. And was absolutely incoherent with rage when his Outlook crashed when downloading 15,000 emails inviting him to take a satisfaction survey. Good thing it was only a test.
One of the managers where I work had the junior IT guy add a vacation autoresponder to his email, and the confirmation window had a checkbox, apply to inbox. The manager never cleans his inbox, and the IT guy decided to check that box. Something like 10,000 emails were sent that day. Important clients who he would have been conversing more often with were getting multiple hundreds of vacation notifications. Nothing bad came from it, and most of the clients were good-hearted about it. He was getting replies like, "Frank, please stop. We know you're on vacation."
Years ago I worked in an office and had a very cool boss who was the general manager. He and I were quite close and used to joke around all the time. I had been corresponding with a fairly important customer overseas about an issue they were having, and I needed information from her to move forward. I asked for info a few times, but she kept coming back with different details than what we needed. I sent an email to my boss saying something like, "I can't believe I asked the same simple question 3 times and this is what I get in reply." Except I didn't send that email to my boss. I sent it to the customer. I was in a panic when I realized what I had done. Went to my boss to let him know what happened, and he thought it was hilarious but that I should write a brief apology to her for an outburst. Was dreading the reply the next morning, but to my astonishment our customer actually apologized to me for not paying attention. Felt like I got away with murder.
Lol, I used to work for a company that designed online banking software in early 2000s and sold it to banks. We had one customer, a bank president, complaining that our product didn't work on AOL. Like the Shizzy browser associated with the Shizzy dial-up internet. You've got mail. Dude starts ranting that there are still millions of customers who use the product. I thought I muted him. And said, "Well, millions of people eat McDonald's every day. That don't make it a good fucking idea." Only, I forgot to mute. Everyone stared at me in terror. After the longest pause in the world, he shouts, "Excuse me." Then he started asking which browsers we supported. Then he said he was going to call our VP. Then he did. And proceeded to tell the VP I was the only honest one at the entire firm. So I got stuck managing his account.
Almost sane. Was a GM of a restaurant about 15 years ago, and we were having POS menu issues. I kept asking for a specific fix and they kept issuing other fixes. I finally sent an email to my boss, another GM who was having same issues, and the menu management person fixing the issue, basically asking if they needed me to do it or if should reach out to their supervisor to do it. Then I fired up another email saying, "I asked the question. Maybe now they'll listen to me." I await a tersely worded response. But I sent it to everyone. I got a single sentence in reply: "I'll implement your fix tomorrow." Is that tersely sick enough for you? I also got a 5-minute lecture on email etiquette from our. Not my proudest moment, but the problem got fixed.
Slammed a forklift into a Camaro.
Oh damn. That is not good for the resale value of the forklift.